Nikola Jokic once changed the history of basketball. To me, there's two main moments where Nikola Jokic genuinely changed the course of basketball history, and I want to go over in depth what they mean to the sport as a whole in detail, starting with the third MVP. Nikola Jokic's third MVP was a moment for the history books. It wasn't just another individual accolade, it elevated him into one of the most elite groups basketball has ever seen. Only 8 other players in the league's 75-year history had ever won 3 MVPs or more. Think about that for a second. We're talking about players like Kareem, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Moses Malone. And now, Nikola Jokic stood shoulder to shoulder with those legends. But Jokic's story made it even more incredible. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't a first-round pick or a player teams built their future around on draft night. He was selected 41st overall in the second round of the 2014 draft. That's the kind of pick that most people forget about immediately. Yet here he was, not just proving he belonged, but proving he could dominate like few players ever had. Winning 1 MVP as a second rounder was already historic, but winning 3? That was something nobody had ever done before. It wasn't just about the award itself, it was the level of play that earned it. Jokic's dominance in the 2023-24 season was staggering. He finished top 10 in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. That's right, he was 5th in points, 3rd in rebounds, 2nd in assists, and 8th in steals. No player in the history of the league had ever done that before. It wasn't just about being great in 1 or 2 areas. He excelled in every single category that mattered. Let's talk about his unique style of play. Jokic didn't dominate the way most MVPs had in the past. He wasn't flying through the air like LeBron or overpowering defenders like Shaq. He wasn't a sharpshooter like Steph or a defensive anchor like Duncan. He controlled the game in his own way, using his mind and skill to pick teams apart. His vision was unmatched, and his ability to find teammates in perfect spots made him one of the most dangerous players in the league. When Jokic had the ball, the entire game seemed to revolve around him, and the stats backed it up in every possible way. He was first in offensive efficiency with a plus 18.9 points per 100 possessions. That was the best mark of his career. It wasn't just a little better than everyone else. It was on a level of its own. He led the league in total plus minus at plus 682. That number alone showed just how valuable he was. When he was on the floor, his team thrived. When he wasn't, they struggled. It was that simple. Jokic was also first in advanced stats like value over replacement player, player efficiency rating, win shares, and box plus minus. No matter how you looked at it, he was dominating every single aspect of the game. His ability to impact both ends of the floor was unmatched. He was first in defensive box plus minus, proving he wasn't just an offensive force, he was anchoring the defense as well. Critics who doubted his defensive impact had nothing left to say. The numbers were undeniable. His consistency was just as impressive as his dominance. Jokic recorded 68 double-doubles and 25 triple-doubles, both the second most in the league. Night after night, he showed up and delivered. There was no such thing as an off night for Jokic. He gave his team everything he had, every single game. That kind of reliability was almost as rare as his skill set. Let's not forget the context of his MVPs. He won 3 in 4 seasons, 2021, 2022, and 2024. The only year he didn't win, he still finished second in voting. That kind of consistency over multiple years was something only the greatest players in history could achieve. Most players would be thrilled to win 1 MVP in their career. Jokic made it look routine. His third MVP wasn't just another trophy, it was a statement. It cemented his place among the all-time greats. Winning 3 MVPs put him in a category that only a handful of players in NBA history had reached. It wasn't just about being great for a few years, it was about sustained excellence, year after year. That's what separated the legends from everyone else, and Jokic was now firmly in that category. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day during the season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, what made this so special was how he achieved it. Jokic wasn't the kind of player people expected to dominate the league. He wasn't a physical marvel or a highlight machine. He played the game at his own pace, using his basketball IQ and skill to outthink and outmaneuver his opponents. He was proof that the game wasn't just about athleticism, it was about understanding, timing, and precision. Jokic's impact went beyond the stats. He changed the way people thought about the center position. For years, centers were either dominant scorers like Shaq or defensive anchors like Mutombo. Playmaking wasn't part of the equation, but Jokic broke that mold completely. He was the best passer on his team, and arguably the best passer in the league, regardless of position. His ability to control the offense from the center position was revolutionary. He wasn't just playing the game, he was redefining it. Even his draft position added to his legacy. Being a second-round pick wasn't supposed to lead to this kind of career. Most second-rounders struggle to make a roster, let alone become stars. But Jokic didn't just overcome the odds. He shattered them. He became the greatest second-round pick in NBA history, and it wasn't even close. Winning 3 MVPs as a 41st overall pick was something nobody could have imagined. It was one of the greatest success stories in sports history. Jokic's 3rd MVP also highlighted his ability to make everyone around him better. Every single starter on the team had a higher effective field goal percentage when he was on the floor. That wasn't just coincidence, it was greatness. His ability to create opportunities for his teammates was unmatched. He made the game easier for everyone he played with, and that kind of impact was priceless. The advanced stats told the same story. Jokic led the league in nearly every category that measured individual impact. From value over replacement player to player efficiency rating, every stat showed just how dominant he was. He wasn't just the best player on his team, he was the best player in the league by every possible measure. But it wasn't just about the numbers. It was about what those numbers represented. They showed a player who had mastered every aspect of the game. They showed a player who could dominate without relying on athleticism or physicality. They showed a player who understood the game on a deeper level than anyone else. That was what made Jokic so special. Winning 3 MVPs in 4 years wasn't just an achievement, it was a legacy. It was proof that he belonged among the all-time greats. It was proof that he had changed the game forever. And it was proof that Nikola Jokic wasn't just one of the best players of his generation. He was one of the best players in NBA history. And plus, 79 games played, the most he had logged since his 79-game stretch back in 2018 to 2019. That kind of durability in an era where rest and load management were common, it was rare. Superstars didn't usually play that many games, but Jokic wasn't like most stars. He showed up almost every night, controlled the game, and made history in the process. And speaking of history, Jokic kept stacking records that only the greatest names in basketball had ever touched. He joined Wilt Chamberlain as the only 2 players in NBA history to finish top 5 in total points, rebounds, and assists in multiple seasons. That alone showed how special his game was. The only other player to ever do it even once, Elgin Baylor. That was it. A list of 3 all-time legends. Jokic wasn't just great, he was rewriting what was possible. But the numbers didn't stop there. He became only the 2nd player ever to record 2,000 points, 900 rebounds, and 600 assists in a single season. The only other player to do it, Oscar Robertson. That was the kind of company Jokic was keeping now. Players who had completely changed the game. Breaking it all down, Jokic averaged 26.4 points, 12.4 rebounds, and 9.0 assists per game. That wasn't just dominance. It was control over every aspect of the game. He wasn't just a scorer. He wasn't just a rebounder. He wasn't just a passer. He was everything, all at once. And no one in the league could match that level of all-around impact. Efficiency? Yeah, he had that too. 58.3% from the field, 35.9% from 3. Big men weren't supposed to shoot this well. Playmakers weren't supposed to rebound this well. And scorers weren't supposed to be this efficient. Jokic did all 3 at an elite level. And the triple-doubles, they just kept piling up. He had 25 of them, second only to Domantas Sabonis, who finished with 26. But Jokic's triple-doubles weren't empty stats. They directly translated to wins. Every time he hit that mark, the game was completely in his control. But the most impressive part, how much better he made his team. The Nuggets finished the season as one of only 4 teams in the entire league to rank top 10 in offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency, and net rating. The only other teams to do that, the Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, and Oklahoma City Thunder. That wasn't a coincidence. When Jokic was leading the charge, they were elite on both ends of the floor. The numbers told the full story. When Jokic was on the court, the team had a net efficiency rating of plus 11.8. When he wasn't, it dropped to minus 8.6. That was the definition of valuable. The team's total plus minus with Jokic on the floor, a league best plus 682. The Nuggets' total plus minus when he sat, minus 251. That gap was massive. and it showed just how much he dictated the outcome of every game. And through it all, Jokic didn't care about the individual awards. He never did. That wasn't what motivated him. He wanted championships. He wanted to win. He knew that MVPs were great for the legacy, but he wasn't chasing them. He was chasing rings. That was all that mattered to him. And if he pulled off another championship, that would put him in even rarer company. Only 4 players in the entire history of the NBA had ever won 3 MVPs and 2 titles: Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and LeBron James. That was it. That was the level Jokic was approaching. If he led the Nuggets to another title, he wouldn't just be an all-time great. He would be in a category with the most accomplished legends the game had ever seen. His impact on the team went far beyond the numbers. He wasn't just leading with his play, he was leading with his mind. His coach, Michael Malone, talked about how much Jokic had matured, how his leadership had reached another level, and how he was taking responsibility for making sure the entire team was locked in. And that was key. This wasn't the same roster from the previous year's championship run. Role players like Bruce Brown and Jeff Green were gone, and younger guys were stepping into bigger roles. But Jokic didn't let that slow the team down. Instead, he took it upon himself to make sure everyone was in the right spots, knew their roles, and understood what it took to win at the highest level. That was the kind of leadership that separated good players from all-time greats. He wasn't just running the offense, he was running the team. With Jamal Murray missing 23 games, it would have been easy for the Nuggets to take a step back. But Jokic made sure that didn't happen. Even with changes in the lineup, Denver finished with a better record than the previous season. That didn't happen by accident. It happened because Jokic kept everything running smoothly. That's what made his 3rd MVP so significant. It wasn't just another great individual season, it was proof that he could carry a franchise through different challenges, different lineups, and different expectations. That was what separated him from so many other stars. Some players had great seasons when everything went right, but Jokic proved he could dominate no matter the circumstances. And here's the best part, he was still getting better. His efficiency kept improving. His defense had reached new level. His leadership had never been stronger. He was playing the best basketball of his life, and it was terrifying for the rest of the league. If there were still any doubts about his place in history, they were gone now. His 3rd MVP wasn't just another award, it was a defining moment. It was proof that he had reached a level few players ever had. He wasn't just a great player, he was a generational talent, the kind of player that changed the way people thought about the game. His legacy was already cemented. He was going to be remembered as one of the greatest to ever play the game. And the scariest part, he was far from finished. But to me, the other moment, he changed basketball forever, the championship. Jokic's championship run was not just dominant, it was historic. It was the kind of run that rewrote the record books, changed the way people viewed the game, and forever altered the conversation about greatness. It was not just about winning a title. It was about redefining what it meant to be a superstar, what it meant to control a game, and what it meant to be a true franchise player. Jokic did not just lead the Nuggets to their first ever championship, he did it in a way no one had ever seen before. He did not just win, he dominated every single aspect of the game. Scoring, he was unstoppable. Passing, he saw plays before they even happened. Rebounding, he controlled the glass like it was his personal playground, and the numbers proved it. He became the first player in NBA history to lead the entire postseason in total points, total rebounds, and total assists. That was not just impressive, it was unprecedented. Every legend who had ever dominated the playoffs, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, none of them had accomplished what Jokic did. This was not just a great playoff run. This was something the league had never seen before. And the numbers? Absolutely ridiculous. He averaged 30 points per game, 13.5 rebounds, and 9.5 assists across 20 playoff games. That meant he was literally half an assist away from averaging a triple-double for the entire postseason. That kind of production was not just rare, it was unheard of. The only other players who had even come close to that level of all-around dominance were legendary names. But even they had never controlled the game quite like Jokic did. His impact was not just about statistics. It was about the way he made everything look so effortless, like he was 2 steps ahead of everyone else on the court. And that was what made it even crazier. He never forced anything. He was not taking bad shots. He was not chasing statistics. He was not trying to be flashy. He was just playing basketball at a level no one else could match. He played at his own pace, dictated the flow of the game, and made defenses react to him every single possession. No matter what teams tried, they could not stop him. He was reading the defense like a chess master, threading passes through impossible windows, and scoring with an efficiency that made it look like he was playing on rookie mode. And let's not forget where he came from. He was not some highly touted #1 overall pick. He was not an instant superstar. He was the lowest drafted player in NBA history to win Finals MVP, picked 41st overall in the second round, overlooked, doubted, and underestimated his entire career. And now, he was standing at the top of the basketball world. That was not just a great story. It was one of the most improbable rises in sports history. From a second-round pick who was not even expected to be a star to the best player in the NBA, leading his team to a championship. That was not just a Cinderella story, that was legendary. And he did it all at the center position. He became the first center to win Finals MVP since Tim Duncan in the year 2005. Before Duncan, it was Shaquille O'Neal in the year 2002. And before that, you had to go back decades to find another big man who dominated like this. But here's the thing, Jokic was not just a dominant scorer like Shaq. He was not just an all-around fundamental force like Duncan. He was something completely different, a new kind of player. He combined elite scoring, rebounding, and playmaking in a way that had never been seen before. He was not just changing the game, he was redefining what a big man could be. And his efficiency, just as insane as his raw numbers. He finished the finals averaging over 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists, while shooting nearly 60% from the field, over 40% from three, and 84% from the free throw line. Most players would have dreamed of putting up those numbers in the regular season. Jokic did it on the biggest stage against the best teams with the highest stakes. He was not just putting up numbers, he was dominating in the most efficient way possible. And when the Nuggets needed him most, he delivered. With the franchise just one win away from its first championship, Jokic put together a dominant closeout performance. 28 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 assists, while shooting 12 of 16 from the field. That was not just an elite finals performance. That was a statement. He was making sure there would be no Game 6, no extra chances for Miami, no doubt about who the best player in the world was. When everything was on the line, he showed up and shut the door. And his overall playoff totals, even more absurd, 600 total points, 269 rebounds, and 190 assists. And remember, no one had ever led the playoffs in all three categories in the same year. That was not just an all-time great performance, that was something that might never be repeated. And the teams he took down, no easy road. He did not just waltz through weak competition, he battled against some of the biggest names in the sport. He led Denver past Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers in basketball history. He outdueled LeBron James, the king of playoff dominance, and then he took down Miami, eliminating one of the toughest, grittiest teams in the league to win it all. He was not just winning, he was taking out legends along the way, and he just kept stacking up records. He recorded the first ever 30-point, 20-rebound, 10-assist game in NBA Finals history. No one had ever put up a stat line like that in a finals game before. And if that was not enough, he also set the record for the most triple-doubles in a single postseason with 10. That kind of all-around dominance was not just special, it was once in a lifetime. But the numbers only told part of the story. His impact went way beyond statistics. He was not just filling up the box score, he was dictating every second of the game. He played at his own pace, and no one could speed him up. No matter what teams tried, he found a way to break them down. He saw the floor differently than anyone else. He passed teammates open, made the right reads, and made the game easier for everyone around him. And when the game was on the line, he was at his absolute best. He scored 10 fourth-quarter points in the closeout game to seal the title. When Denver needed him to step up in the biggest moments, he did exactly that. He did not shy away from the pressure. He did not shrink under the spotlight. He embraced it and took over. That was what true greatness looked like. Jokic's championship run was not just about winning, it was about cementing his legacy. He had already proven he was one of the most unique players the league had ever seen. But now, he had proven he was one of the greatest winners in NBA history. Winning a championship had always been the last piece of the puzzle, and he put it all together with one of the most dominant playoff performances ever. And for the Nuggets, this was everything. Their first ever championship in franchise history. 47 years of waiting, and they finally had their moment. And they did it behind a player who was not supposed to be a superstar, who was not supposed to be the face of the league, and who was not supposed to dominate the way he did. But he did. He shattered every expectation, silenced every doubter, and became the ultimate champion. Jokic's journey to becoming the greatest of all time isn't just possible, it's already unfolding. At just 29 years old, he's already building a resume that rivals some of the greatest names in NBA history. A champion, a finals MVP, a 3-time regular season MVP, and a player dominating every single part of the game like no one before him. The question isn't whether he belongs in the conversation. The question is how far he can take it. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, the two players most often mentioned in the GOAT debate. Two legends who define entire eras of basketball. Jordan, the ultimate competitor, a 6-time champion with 6 finals MVPs, 10 scoring titles, and a career built on dominance in the biggest moments. LeBron, a 4-time champion with 4 finals MVPs, a 20-time All-Star, and a player who redefines longevity and all-around greatness. And now, Jokic is building a case to stand alongside them. The biggest factor in the GOAT conversation? Winning. Jordan has 6 rings, LeBron has 4, and Jokic has 1. But here's the key. Jokic's story is still being written. Jordan doesn't win his first championship until he's 28. LeBron doesn't win his first until he's 27. Jokic already has his first at 28, and he isn't slowing down. If he adds multiple more championships to his resume, his case only gets stronger. And then there are the MVPs. Jordan has 5, LeBron has 4, and Jokic already has 3. At 29, he's ahead of Jordan's pace and nearly tied with LeBron. If he continues playing at this level for several more years, there's no reason to believe he won't surpass them both in MVPs. Very few players in NBA history have ever won 3 MVPs, and almost all of them are considered top 10 players of all time. If Jokic adds a 4th or 5th, he enters a class that only the absolute greatest have reached. But what makes Jokic's case truly special? His all-around dominance. Jordan is the greatest scorer ever. LeBron is arguably the most complete player in NBA history. But Jokic, he's something entirely different. He's the best passing big man the game has ever seen. His ability to control the offense, dictate the tempo, and make everyone around him better is unmatched. He's already led an entire postseason in total points, rebounds, and assists, something neither Jordan nor LeBron has ever done. He isn't just dominating games, he's controlling every single aspect of them. And let's talk about longevity. One of the biggest reasons LeBron is still considered for the GOAT title is his ability to sustain greatness for 2 decades. Jordan has 2 separate careers, his dominant Chicago Bulls run and his brief comeback with the Washington Wizards. But Jokic, his style of play is built for longevity. He doesn't rely on explosive athleticism like Jordan. He doesn't have to use his physicality the way LeBron does. His game is based on skill, vision, and basketball IQ. Things that don't fade with age. If he stays healthy, there's no reason to believe he won't continue dominating well into his 30s. And here's another key factor: impact on winning. Jordan has 10 All-NBA first-team selections, LeBron has 13, and Jokic already has 4. He's well on his way to stacking up All-NBA selections for the next several years. If he continues to dominate, his resume keeps growing. And while Jordan has a Defensive Player of the Year award and LeBron has multiple all-defensive selections, Jokic has shown that he can impact the game defensively in his own way. His advanced metrics prove his value on both ends of the floor, and his leadership on defense is only improving with time. One of the biggest arguments for Jordan's GOAT case is his ability to win 6 championships without ever losing in the finals. LeBron's argument is based on longevity and all-around excellence. Jokic, his case will be based on his ability to control the game like no one before him. If he wins multiple more rings while continuing to lead his team in every major statistical category, his case for being the greatest ever will be undeniable. And then there's something even bigger: the evolution of the game. Jordan is the most dominant player of his era, but he played in a time when the three-point shot wasn't as important. LeBron adapted to the modern game by improving his shooting and passing, making him one of the most complete players ever. But Jokic, he's already redefining what a superstar can be. A center who passes like a point guard, scores like a dominant big, and controls the game like a true floor general. He isn't just great, he's changing the way basketball is played. If Jokic wants to become the GOAT, he has a clear path. He needs more championships. He needs to continue dominating at an elite level for several more years. He needs to keep stacking MVPs and all NBA selections. And most importantly, he needs to continue evolving his game, just like Jordan and LeBron did. If he does all of that, there will be no denying his place at the top. Right now, Jordan and LeBron stand at the peak of NBA greatness. Jordan has the rings, the scoring dominance, the perfect finals record. LeBron has the longevity, the versatility, the all-around excellence. But Jokic, he has something neither of them have ever done. Total control of every aspect of the game. He isn't just playing basketball, he's dictating it at a level no one else can. And if he keeps doing that for years to come, the GOAT debate will have a brand new name at the top. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day during this season. I genuinely appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.